A warm welcome to all, and this is Dr. Srilata Suresh from Odyssey. Here, this is a platform where we encourage people to upbring their products and we cater with different sectors like we spoke with educationist, industrialist, and even natural farmer and principal chocolatier and many more. And today we have a very special guest, and this special guest it was recommended by one of my friend because I used to get mails from different people. They want a psychologist to be to talk to them. So today we have a very special guest, Miss Shivani Wadhwa. A warm welcome to you, Shivani.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Shivani, she's a teacher uh, in a school. She's a psychologist. I think she's a teacher in a Delhi School of Excellence, Banjara Hills, Hyderabad. And even though she looks young and energetic, she has vast experience. I mean to say that she used to take so many sessions of different age groups. Maybe it is not only children, it's a youngster as well as adult. So a warm welcome again to Shivani, and now I would like you to take the platform. Before that, tell me a little bit about yourself and what made you take this career as a psychologist. And I think psychologists and psychiatric are different.
Right.
Psychiatric, they deal with the medicinal or medical problems, and psychologist is a condition such as severe depression, autism, and many more of
Right.
different behavior. So can you tell more about yourself and what made you take up this career? Over to
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Okay. So, a very good evening to all the participants viewing. So, I am Shivani Vadhva. I'm a consultant psychologist, special educator, play therapist, and a career coach by profession. I've been in this field for the past 7 years, and I've been brought up in Hyderabad. I have completed my studies with distinction from St. Francis College for Women. So from there, my journey of psychology had started. So when I was at a stage in life where I had to decide what career I needed to choose, a decade ago probably, there were two options that were most presented by people, either engineering or doctor. But for me, when my parents suggested it would be good you study, you have a lot of exploration, our family background, some few in doctor, but that was not my cup of tea. So I had seen my cousins into fancy jobs of IT at that point of time. I'm like, maybe let me try out, that could be my calling. So I started taking up MPC, that is math, physics, chemistry, worked hard to write MSET, AI Triple E, so that I could get into a good engineering college and have a bright career in engineering. But I think times changed when I was doing that and realized that I needed to do something different, something out of the box. So after a lot of research, what could I do? What could be my calling? That's where one of my sisters told me that why don't you try psychology? She was doing journalism and she's like, this is a field that I find interesting. Why don't you research about it and see? At that point of time, I wanted to do something different. That was a fancy term when I read about it. And that's where I started off my journey. And since then, there has no been looking back. It's been a wonderful journey. From there, when I started picking up psychology and dived into the ocean of learning of psychology. And so here I am, happy with what I have chosen. So this has been how I have come to the career of psychology, to do something different, again something that is where you can give back to the society, where you're helping transforming lives. And as you said, there is a difference between psychologist and psychiatrist. Psychologists cannot prescribe medication. We do diagnosis, we do assessments, we help identify. But in severe cases where medication is required, we refer them to a psychiatrist. We are more into talk therapy.
Okay, okay. That's a very detailed journey of your life that you have told. Thank you for that. Okay, since you have chosen this path as a psychologist, what are your greatest strength? Since and you have the passion towards towards the people and towards the children, and since you're working in a school, you're every day you'll be meeting people, and what is your strongest strength as a psychologist?
Okay, so this definitely is a challenging field. So I think the greatest challenge is my patience level that I developed over the period of time, because you need to be patient. And another strength I would say is my active listening skills. So these are also two important things to be in the field, and I feel that I definitely possess to help children. Without that, I don't think the journey of a counselor or a psychologist becomes successful. So these two are my greatest strengths, I believe, to possess.
Do you take sessions only for the children or for the youth or even for the adults? Do you take
Usually,
yeah,
it is
please.
for children because I've been working in the school for the past 5+ years now as their consultant. So mostly it's children and adolescents. At times, mild, moderate cases of adults do come through reference. So that's when I take it up. But otherwise, my major forte has been children and adolescents.
But nowadays, the children in a family, there are one or two children, and more importance is given to the children, or their or most of the time the parents, they give more importance to them. In that way, they become more adamant, and they are very stubborn. How do you deal with those children? And while coming to the sessions, when they come and meet you in the sessions, they will be, they won't be talking to you, they won't be free with in the fun one or two sessions. How
True,
do you
true.
deal with that?
See, the very first thing that is very important is rapport building. Whether it's a parent dealing with a student or a teacher dealing with a student or me dealing with a student. So the rapport building plays a very important role. So what we need to do is we try to get down to their level to understand them. Once we build a bond with them, it is easier for us to help understand what they are going through, how we could change. So where a lot of changes have happened in today's times of parenting and all, and children are great imitators, so they observe everything and anything. So whatever their stubbornness patterns have been formed, it is formed because we have given into their demands. So
Yes,
again, we
yes.
use behavior modification techniques to help, come back to the pattern that is going to be beneficial for both the child and the parent.
Yes, yes, that is there. And nowadays, the children, they know quite a lot. Maybe through internet or other sources, they know quite a lot, and they don't behave like a kid. Mostly, it may be because they are the one or two children, they are staying with the parents. Whatever the parents talk, the same way they also talk. Um, their innocence is somewhat diminishing. What is your opinion about it?
I completely understand of overexposure of media. They want to
Yes,
imitate people. They want things above their age. Lot of exposure because everything has transformed to online now. Of late, it has become more. So
yes.
definitely, it's a challenge that we need to deal with when it comes to children and adolescents, where their innocence is actually getting lost. So they are much exposed to a lot of things which are not required at this particular age. So a constant monitoring would definitely help so that things go smooth in the long run.
You are talking about children and adolescents, but more problem with youth or young teenage.
Yes.
They have more problem because they don't consider themselves as a kid, and they want to behave like this. They want to behave like a adult, but they are
Right.
not adult as such. And they and 10 to 15 years is somewhat very crucial here.
Yes,
How,
yes.
if somebody comes with some problem, how do you deal with them?
10 to 15 years is a very challenging age because they are struggling for their self identity. So that's
Yes,
where they're trying to make a mark for themselves. They're trying to get fit. They are not a child anymore. They want to fit into the society. They're like, how, who am I? The identity crisis start at this point of time. So it's very important that we help them to develop their self-esteem. So at that point of time, you need to appreciate their effort. We need to tell them that yes, they are an individualistic person. That helps them get
yes,
motivated and their self esteem is developed. So this is a very challenging age. So if a self esteem is developed, they also go through a lot of bodily changes, hormonal changes. They undergo a lot of changes with peers, environmental changes at that point of time, struggling to make a mark. At this point of time, if their self esteem is not built, they have issues in the long run. So this time of 10 to 15 years is very important, where we build up their confidence in them.
yes, yes. And at that time, they don't want to discuss their problem or their whatever their worries with the parent. They think
True.
the parent they won't understand their problem. So it is really a challenging role at that for
True, true.
those people.
Hello.
as we were talking about the adolescents and the teenager, what are the problems they are facing?
Nowadays, there are a lot of challenges because of the COVID pandemic that has come. There is no routine. There is a lot of, screen exposure. They are more into games. Then the parents are having a hard time to fix up a schedule for their eating, studies. Everything has got hayway because they have no fixed schedule. That is a major cause is causing the all the other thing. There's sometimes cyberbullying also happening. The other challenges that are by children is that they have also lost touch with actual socialization. So when they meet people, they go out, there's a lot of socialization, there's peer communication. A lot of things have changed because of the present scenario presented to children. So the best thing that they could do is accept and adapt in a way that would help them in the long run. But that exactly is not happening. So what happens is that they are at the comfort of their house, but things are
Uh-huh.
not being at their end.
Yeah, very truly said. But this will lead them to
Lot of
depression or
issues.
to depression and other things. Even since the parents they will be working from home and they'll be neglecting the child because they have to work, and a lot of problem arises out of that. They'll be more cranky and how to deal with
Frustration, anger
this
issues.
frustration. And yeah, nowadays the routine, maybe you can say now that online for the children the online classes are there, but it's routine and they know a lot about it.
They
And
know a lot. They access by themselves. So even while classes are there, they are into multitasking because it's at the comfort of home. If they don't have parental monitoring, since it's a device which can access a lot of things at one time, so there are a lot of challenges that come with online classes as well. So even if you try to tell the child to focus, there are a lot of other distractions like playing games and all happening. So if things are not given to them, they get frustrated, they get annoyed, anger issues develop where they want to stay away and not have communication even with family members these days.
yes,
So there
yes,
are so many issues that are coming up because of.
yes, yes, please continue.
Okay, so when these issues are coming, the only thing is the parents need to figure out what the child is doing. So if they are left alone, what happens is that yes, we all have our own works. We need to trust the child also and leave the
Yes,
child because of over protection of the child also gets them into the nagging mode that you're always there and so much of shadowing is happening, which they won't specially like it when it's an adolescent age. So they should know where to draw the line, how much to get involved, parental involvement, to what extent. That needs to be known. For each child,
yes,
it is going to be different. There's no specific rate at which you have to be involved with the child. So that is again child's, but parental involvement is the key to shaping them ahead.
yes, yes, yes. I've read in the book Tales of Two Cities, where Charles Dickens have written, "What is unseen is unreal. What is real is seen." And
So true.
earlier in World War One and Two, we could see our enemies, but now it is this pandemic. We can't see the enemy, but it is spreading all over, and it's difficult for the children for the children to manage at home, for the adult to manage the child at home. And even the online classes now, they are taking, the teachers are taking pains to take the online classes, but most of them, are they listening, or they are just
Good
switching it
question.
on? And of course that's why the teachers are asking questions in between, whether they are listening or not. But it is a very strange situation, isn't it?
Helpless. See, the teachers are trying from their end the best. Everything is given to them on the online platform. So they have activities, they have lecture method, they have audio visual aids. Everything has been transformed as much as possible onto the online sector. But children also have to put in their efforts to make the most of it. So they
Yes,
believe that, okay, it's at home, we can do as we like. So they are not understanding the seriousness that it is same because of the situation, their environment from classroom shifted to their house room. but the seriousness of studies remain.
Yes,
So
yes,
this
yes.
definitely has caused them to go back that studies are not serious, they're taking it lightly. So, when teachers even try to call them, they switch off, they say connection issues, we are again helpless from our end when it comes to that. So,
Yeah, but yeah, since this is there, I find so many people they are complaining. And what are the teachers' guidance for a good for the student? How do they take the classes? How do they maintain whether they have studied, they have understood what they have studied? How will they know about it? How will the teacher know about it?
see, teachers are asking orally because earlier we used to believe in written, but now they can have a lot of access to resources around them which we cannot see. It's a truth. So this is how that things are shaping up. So we try to ask them orally questions in a twisted manner. Classroom participation engagement is what best tools are being used, or we take exams are going on as usual to gauge, but more of classroom interaction, engagement, and observation is helping in these times.
Okay, I've got a one question from the audio from the viewer, Mrs. Bharti Rao. She has asked, "How can we, as adults, help a child identify their mental wellness,
Okay,
whether
so
they
when you
are
have
healthy or wellness, whatever." Yeah,
mental
please.
wellness comes when there is a balance a child is having emotionally as well. So, as we talk about physical balance, mental balance is more of how a person is more emotionally resilient, how a person is able to cope with adversities and challenges that are faced by or in the journey of life. So, if you feel that your child is able to sail through the challenges that are there and not getting easily bogged down, yes, there is mental wellness. You need to pick up situations and assess your child how your child is responding. So based on that, you understand with regard to your child's mental wellness. And if you see a sudden change, a happy bubbly child, an extroverted child suddenly becoming an introvert or starting to stay aloof, a child who used to love interacting and now is not loving to interact or being with people, these sudden shifts are also red flags that something is going on within the child where the child is not sharing, and once they get piled up and reach a saturation level, they definitely affect a child's wellness, mental wellness to be more specific. So these are little ways in which you can identify.
Can you tell us some cases if you had gone through, so that it will be more clear?
So in general, any case that I've encountered, probably. Okay, I'd
Yes.
love to share this case which when I had started off my journey at school. So
Okay.
we had a child who was in grade 2 at that point of time. When I joined, after a month or so, I would be getting complaints like this child does not talk. We are wondering if the child has a voice also or not because he's never interacted. But on
Okay.
speaking to the parent told that he talks a lot, he's aware of everything, sentences
Uh-huh.
is there, he speaks, everything is normal. So they had also shown videos. So there was a drastic change between how the child was at school and how the child was home. So
Okay.
this alarmed as to how can children be so different in two different settings. So that's when I
Okay.
started taking up the case, went more deeper, what is happening. He didn't respond irrespective of whatever. So once they were playing and he fell down and got hurt. So at that hurt, usually children cry. He bottled up his emotion so tightly, he did not react. It was a blank face. Looking
Okay.
at it, you would have an emotion.
Okay.
So that made me wonder what is happening. That was a very different
Yeah.
kind of case. See, learning disability, ADHD, all these are common which we come across. So this made me get in depth to figure out. So after a lot of intervention, building rapport, he started non-verbal communication, at least pointed out, started responding to me. Then that sudden shift happened. It took around 4 months. So when I
Okay.
researched about it, this was something known as selective mutism. That is again an anxiety issue. So when
Okay.
children have social anxiety, they become mute in certain environments. So this
Okay.
child had anxiety of peers being social. So when he was with his parents, he was in a comfortable zone. So he was
Yeah.
himself. But
Yeah.
when suddenly in the school environment, in the bus with so many people around,
With
he
strangers, you
got
can say.
into the anxiety thing, and that's when selective mutism started for him. So when I figured that out, that was diagnosed, everything was done. therapeutic intervention was given. Took about 6 months where he could finally talk to one or two of his peers, respond to
Mhm.
one or two teachers in one
Okay.
word. I wouldn't say completely, but it took an
Okay.
entire like 8 months to get him comfortable where he could interact. And when he saw that others were so happy seeing him interact, he also felt that, okay, yes, that is a way I could also interact. He started making friends. A lot of change was observed, but it is a slow process. The first
Okay.
thing, whenever any case is presented, is the analysis of it. The correct analysis definitely would lead to giving the child better help. So that
Mhm.
is with cases. So this case has been really close to heart over the years. Now the child has
Okay.
grown,
Okay.
not in
What,
school,
what do
they have
you?
shifted the city.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he's still in touch. Every teacher's day, I get a wish from the child. So that really makes you that, okay, you made a difference. So it's very
Right.
important where we get into correct analysis to help change and transform these individuals who are going through a lot of difficult times.
Okay. Yeah, you have told about healthy lifestyle. What do you mean by healthy lifestyle in schools? How the child was not talking to anybody, and then slowly it started talking to others, to his friends. What do you mean by healthy lifestyle, healthy living?
See, healthy living is a very subjective term, I would put it across. There is no fixed definition to healthy living in school or healthy living in home. So, wherever the child feels safe and comfortable becomes your healthy lifestyle. See, nutrition
Okay.
and all are the food things, but where a person is feeling that I can get adjusted, the child is, making friends, talking, having communication, he's settled. That is where I
Yeah.
feel that the child is having a balanced kind of a state of mind.
Okay. And again, Miss Bharti Rao, she has written any tools that a child can identify themselves.
Yes, there are a lot of assessments and checklists which will help us as psychologists because we have studied those, we have those resources to identify what the child is going through. So there are a lot of resources which psychologists have, like a testing tool or assessment checklist to know what exactly is bothering the child.
Okay, 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 okay. Uh, since you're psychologist, it's a very interesting line, and after talking to you, it's quite interesting to learn about human behavior, whether it is a child or an youth or an adult, or even at the old age. Yeah, different people have different stages of problems,
Learn.
and they know they should solve their problems. If somebody wants to take up the career as a psychologist, or what is the main interest they should have? It is not that I am interested in history and other things, and if I take psychology, it may not click or it may not be as good as you said you have passion. So, what in who should take psychology as their career?
It again depends on a lot of skills. There are times the interest may be there, but the aptitude may not be there. So when we have to take up psychology, there definitely needs to be an interest in the subject without which you won't be able to move ahead. Aptitude, you need your communication skills, you need to have the skills of empathy, you need to have your active listening skills, without which moving ahead in this direction gets difficult. So to
Okay,
start
okay.
off with, we have the basic certification courses. After that, some people choose to even study psychology later in their lives because they realize that probably I want to get into this. So, as a counselor or psychologist, once you identify what are the core skills, you can work on developing that as
Okay, okay. And since nowadays, I feel quite a lot of people, everyone is mad in a way. So does everybody needs a psychologist to?
well. That's a very nice question that you've put. All of us go through things, okay? Nobody's life
Yeah.
has proper smooth journey. So as we see
Yes.
heartbeat, it's up and down, that only keeps us going. So all of us face challenges and adversities. We all have our own ways of dealing with challenges and adversities. When we are able to deal with the challenges and adversities, it is you don't need some outside facilitation or help. But when we get stuck and when we are not able to deal with the challenges that life throws at us, it's always better to seek help that could facilitate the process of change for a smoother life.
Okay. Okay. One last question. If it is whether it is a child or anybody, nowadays because of the pandemic, they have the anxiety, fear, and depression. Fear of deaths because people we can see people hear or see near and dear see people dying or near and dear ones are dying in the hospitals or at home. How do you treat them? How many sessions do they need?
See, sessions again depends on the person, what issue is happening. Probably they feel that issue A is causing them trouble, but during a course of sessions, we identify there is issue B and C which is leading to A. So it again depends on the person. The only suggestion that I would give out to viewers here is accept and adapt. Be whatever challenge throws at you. The moment we accept, we learn to find ways to adapt to it. If acceptance is not there, adaptation wouldn't come. Be it any adversity or challenge, and this time has definitely been testing time for all of us.
Yes, 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 yes. As you said, it is a testing time for all of us, and we are almost at the end of this show. And it is really informative and interesting to talk to you. And if anybody has any questions, please do write on this email given in this in this show in this platform, and it is since everybody have some problem or the other, and you as you rightly said, you have to cope up with that and you have to move forward. Everybody have to face the challenges. It's nice talking to you, Ms. Shivani, and
Thank you so
we'll have
much.
one more session of this. It is more interesting, with more problems and more solutions from your side.
Sure, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shivani. Thanks a lot. And this is the end of our 11th episode of Odyssey. And nowadays, people are asking for regional languages also. We are trying to make the next video or the coming video with a regional language, maybe in some other languages. But still, don't miss this show. Keep watching. Thank you. Signing off from Dr. Srilata. Thank you.